Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, kindly take your seats. May I invite His Excellency Luhut Binsar Panjaitan, Coordinating Minister for Maritime Affairs and Investments of the Republic of Indonesia, and Mr. Teo Chee Hien, Senior Minister and Coordinating Minister for National Security of the Republic of Singapore, to exchange the MOU on renewable energy cooperation. Excellencies, please exchange documents. Excellencies, please look at the camera. Thank you, Excellencies. May I invite His Excellency Airlangga Hartarto, Coordinating Minister for Economic Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia, and Mr. Gan Kim Yong, Minister for Trade and Industry of the Republic of Singapore, to exchange the MOU on the TechX program. Excellencies, please exchange documents and look at the camera. Thank you, Excellencies. May I invite His Excellency Budi Gunadi Sadikin, Minister for Health of the Republic of Indonesia, and Mr. Ong Ye Kang, Minister for Health of the Republic of Singapore, to exchange the MOU on health cooperation. Excellencies, please exchange documents and look at the camera. Thank you, Excellencies. May I invite His Excellency Suharto Monoarfa, Minister for National Development Planning and Head of the National Development Planning Agency of the Republic of Indonesia, and Mr. Desmond Lee, Minister for National Development of the Republic of Singapore, to exchange the MOU on sustainable urban and housing development. Excellencies, please exchange documents. Thank you, Excellencies. Minister Lee, kindly remain. May I invite His Excellency Bambang Susantono, Chairman of the Nusantara National Capital Authority of the Republic of Indonesia, and Mr. Desmond Lee, Minister for National Development of the Republic of Singapore, to exchange the MOU regarding collaboration on knowledge sharing, capacity building, and research. Thank you, Excellencies. May I invite His Excellency Henry Alfiandi, Head of the National Search and Rescue Agency of the Republic of Indonesia, and Mr. Eric Yap, Commissioner of the Singapore Civil Defence Force, to exchange the MOU on cooperation on urban search and rescue. Excellencies, please exchange documents and look at the camera. Thank you, Excellencies. May I invite His Excellency Prabowo Subianto, Minister for Defence of the Republic of Indonesia, and Dr. Ng Eng Hen, Minister for Defence of the Republic of Singapore, to exchange the Indonesia-Singapore Joint Update on Defence Cooperation. Excellencies, please exchange documents and look at the camera. Thank you, Excellencies. May I now invite His Excellency Joko Widodo and Prime Minister Hsien Loong to the lecterns. We will now commence the joint press conference. You may wish to put on the headsets located on your seats. Channel 1 will be for English and Channel 2 will be for Bahasa Indonesia. Thank you. May I now invite Prime Minister Lee to deliver his remarks, please.
Your Excellency, President Joko Widodo, Ministers, ladies and gentlemen. May I welcome President Jokowi and his delegation to Singapore. This is our 6th Leaders' Retreat together. There have been many significant developments since our last retreat in Bintan. The COVID situation has stabilized around the world and in Singapore and Indonesia. Cross-border travel has resumed and is picking up pace. Indonesia has enjoyed significant success in 2022. Indonesia's G20 presidency delivered a hard-won leaders' declaration and other concrete outcomes, including the Just Energy Transition Partnership and the creation of the Pandemic Fund, which Singapore is happy to contribute to. Our bilateral relationship has made good progress. In Bintan last year, President Jokowi and I witnessed the signing of the expanded framework agreements. These address three long-standing issues between Singapore and Indonesia. There was the agreement on the realignment of the boundary between the Jakarta FIR and the Singapore FIR, the Defence Cooperation Agreement, and the Treaty for the Extradition of Fugitives. I am happy that both sides have now ratified all three agreements. We had discussed these issues many times over an extended period and have come a long way to get here. I thank President Jokowi and his ministers for their leadership and support and hard work in getting the agreements ratified. Singapore looks forward to working with Indonesia to complete the next steps. Last week, we jointly applied for approval from ICAO for the new arrangements under the FIR agreement. Following ICAO's approval, both countries will agree on a date for the three agreements to be implemented simultaneously. The three agreements on these long-standing issues will bring lasting benefits to both sides. The successful outcome reflects our strong bilateral relations and shows that Singapore and Indonesia can gain substantial mutual benefits through open and constructive engagement. President Jokowi and I also discussed new areas of cooperation. First, on the digital economy. We signed a memorandum of understanding on the TechX program today. This will allow young tech professionals from Singapore and Indonesia to undergo work exchanges and gain experience from each other's tech industries. Our tech cooperation will strengthen ASEAN collaboration in this emerging sector, and this includes working towards a digital economy framework agreement under Indonesia's ASEAN chairmanship. Secondly, on sustainability, there's much potential in the green economy sector. We signed an MOU on renewable energy cooperation today. This will support commercial arrangements on the development of renewable energy capabilities, on transmission infrastructure, and cross-border electricity trading. It will strengthen the energy infrastructure and energy transition and energy security for both Singapore and Indonesia, and also support regional initiatives like the ASEAN Power Grid. It's a win-win outcome. Sustainability extends to infrastructure development. We signed the MOU on sustainable urban and housing development, which will facilitate cooperation in developing innovative financing for smart and sustainable infrastructure development, and significantly will include the Nusantara capital city as a pilot. President Jokowi and I discussed the Nusantara project at length and his vision for a green and smart Nusantara. It's a major priority for the President and for Indonesia. Singapore is happy to support the President's vision. We will contribute towards knowledge sharing and joint R&D activities. One of the MOUs today covers collaboration on knowledge sharing, capacity building, and research to support the planning and development of Nusantara as a smart and sustainable city. And there have also been expressions of interest from our private sector in the project, and I told President Jokowi we look forward to the forum which he is planning in May for investors to show them what Nusantara offers and to interest them in the project. And we will encourage Singaporean entrepreneurs and companies to participate in this. Next, on human capital development. Last year, we launched the Human Capital Partnership Arrangement to formalize cooperation. Our people are our best resource, and both countries place heavy emphasis on nurturing talent. I'm glad that many initiatives are progressing on this front. Our education ministries launched the Youth Mobility Program for university students to take up longer internships in each other's countries. And we also renewed an MOU on technical and vocational education and training. And there are several other projects as well. I look forward to more interactions between our students, our educators, our civil servants, and our regional leaders. Singapore and Indonesia have also deepened cooperation in traditional areas. Our defense ministries reaffirmed our strong bilateral defense ties through the Indonesia-Singapore Joint Update on Defense Cooperation. The SEDF and the Indonesian National Search and Rescue Agency also signed an MOU on the urban search and rescue. In health cooperation, our MOU promotes the exchange of information, knowledge, data, and technology in the health sector. Throughout the pandemic, we cooperated closely, and post-pandemic, we will continue to do so. In finance, we've extended the bilateral financial agreement between our central banks for the 4th year in a row. This will help our countries to foster monetary and financial stability in a more volatile economic world. Besides G2G cooperation, our businesses are strengthening commercial linkages with one another. We have MOUs covering digital economy and healthcare, links which form an important part of our deep, multi-layered and comprehensive partnership. These are MOUs in the private sector. The President and I also discussed regional developments. I assured him of Singapore's full support for Indonesia's ASEAN chairmanship and for his priorities as ASEAN chair. On Myanmar, we both regretted the lack of progress in ASEAN's 5-point consensus. Singapore will continue working with Indonesia and with ASEAN members, plus ASEAN's partners like the UN, to push for the full implementation of the 5 points of consensus. And we'll also work with Indonesia and ASEAN members on the roadmap for Timor-Leste's ASEAN membership, and do our part to help Timor-Leste prepare for the obligations and commitments which it will take on when it joins ASEAN. So our bilateral relations are in excellent order. We've taken a major step forward to resolve 3 long-standing issues. We are ready to break new ground in fresh areas of cooperation that are deep, multifaceted, forward-looking, and mutually beneficial, and will make a difference to future generations. I thank President Jokowi for his steady leadership of Indonesia and his important contributions to the strong relations between our 2 countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prime Minister Lee. May I now invite His Excellency Joko Widodo to deliver his remarks, please.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister Lee, for the warm welcome extended to me and my delegation. There have been many progress that we have gained since our meeting in Bintan in January 2022. Singapore's investment in Indonesia has increased by more than 40%, and our trade volume has increased by 25%. In the field of politics, law, and security, the ratification of 3 agreements have been finalized, namely the agreement on the flight information region, and then the extradition agreement, and the defense cooperation agreement. To strengthen the implementation of these 3 agreements, myself and Prime Minister Lee agree to immediately conduct several things. One is to renew the MOU between Attorney General's offices, to finalize the MOU between our police on the prevention and eradication of cross-border crimes, and to establish a Defense Cooperation Committee, and to prepare technical regulations on the implementation of the FIR defense and extradition agreements. In this connection, I welcome the reactivation of the Joint Sea Patrol to strengthen the maritime security of both our countries, and the strengthening of capacities for the handling of disaster, and especially in search and rescue. Furthermore, I also welcome several outcomes of our leadership retreat today. First, the high interest of Singaporean investors in the development of the Nusantara National Capital City. Second, the agreement to intensify cooperation in the field of renewable energy, which will, among others, be used to fulfill the energy demands of both countries. Third, enhancing cooperation in the digital field, including information and data centers, and the cooperation to develop human resources. And we have the Apple Academy and IBM Academy in Batam. Fourth, in the field of trade, we welcome the entry of Indonesian farm products to supply Singapore's chicken demand. Fifth, the strengthening of cooperation in the field of basic health services and health technology, and also the investments towards hospital development in Indonesia. Overall, in today's meeting, we have 20 letter of intent from the Singaporean private sector to invest in the Nusantara National Capital City. We have 9 B2B MOUs in the field of healthcare and digital fields, and 7 G2G MOUs, among others, in the field of energy and health and digital technology. In addition to bilateral cooperation, Prime Minister Lee and I also exchanged views on several regional issues, especially regarding Indonesia's chairmanship of ASEAN. I conveyed my deepest appreciation for Singapore's support towards Indonesia's chairmanship of ASEAN. And Indonesia's priority is to ensure ASEAN remains important and relevant for its people and the world, to ensure the solidity and centrality of ASEAN to remain as the engine for peace and stability in the region, and to ensure Southeast Asia continue to be an epicenter of growth. I also invite Singapore's participation at the ASEAN Indo-Pacific Forum, which will be convened in September 2023, back-to-back with the 43rd ASEAN Summit. Then on Myanmar, as ASEAN Chair, Indonesia will push for progress in the implementation of the 5-point consensus and to conduct engagement with all parties to open up the path towards an inclusive national dialogue. And we also reiterate the importance of reducing tensions and ending violence and ensuring that humanitarian assistance can reach all parties that need it. That is all that I wish to convey. Hope to see you soon in Indonesia for the ASEAN Summit. Thank you.
Thank you, His Excellency. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the end of the joint press conference. His Excellency Joko Widodo and Prime Minister Lee will now take their leave.